Welcome to The Explainer. We're about to pull back the curtain on a completely different kind of arms race. This isn't about bullets and bombs. It's about code. We're talking about a war where the most powerful weapons on the planet can be stolen, leaked online, and then turned against, well, pretty much anyone.
Yeah, that quote from Andy Greenberg's book Sandworm, it really nails it, doesn't it? This is a war that's being fought on a battlefield that's inside your phone, your laptop, even your TV. It's everywhere. So let's get into it. What exactly are these weapons, and what happens when they get out?
All right, so when we say digital weapons, what are we actually talking about? Well, you can't hold them in your hand. They're totally invisible. They're built from these tiny secret flaws that are buried deep inside the software that runs, well, everything. Our phones, our banks, the power grid, you name it. And the crown jewel of this whole world is something called a zero-day exploit. Now, the best way to think about this is like it's a secret master key, a key that can unlock pretty much any digital door. And here's the kicker. It's called a 0-day because the people who made the software have had exactly 0 days to fix the problem. They don't even know the vulnerability exists, so there is literally no defense. So right away, you can see this creates a massive conflict, a real tug of war. On one side, you've got the offense. Think spies and military hackers who want to use these secret keys as weapons. But on the other side, you've got the defense. All the security folks who want to find these flaws and fix them, to make us all safer. And you really can't have it both ways. And because these keys are so powerful, they became insanely valuable. I mean, we're talking about a secret black market that popped up, totally in the shadows. You've got hackers and shady brokers selling these exploits to governments for huge amounts of money. And I mean huge. Sometimes we're talking about literal duffel bags full of cash, because this is the kind of business where you absolutely cannot leave a paper trail. Okay, so this puts governments, and especially intelligence agencies like the NSA, in a really tough spot. It's what we call the Hoarders Dilemma. Imagine you're a spy and you've just found one of these digital master keys. What do you do with it? Well, to try and answer that question, the US government created this super top secret process. It's called the Vulnerabilities Equities Process, or VEP for short. You can basically think of it as a high-stakes debate club. You get all these different agencies in a room, and they argue over the fate of a newly discovered 0-day. Do we hoard it to spy on our enemies, or do we disclose it so it can be fixed and keep everyone safe? And what's so fascinating is when you look at the two sides of the argument, hoarding the flaw. That lets you hack into an adversary's network, maybe even stop a terror plot. But disclosing it, that protects the internet itself, our economy, our hospitals, our whole society. It's this constant high-stakes balancing act. Do you achieve national security through offense or through defense? This quote really just hits the nail on the head. It's from a security businessman who was actually approached by intelligence agencies. Think about it. When the government decides to hoard a vulnerability, they are making a conscious choice to leave millions, maybe even billions of people completely exposed to that very same flaw. But here's the thing about hoarding weapons. There's a massive risk involved, a risk that, frankly, a lot of people in government ignored for way too long. And the question is this: what happens when you lose control of your arsenal? This isn't some hypothetical what-if scenario. As we're about to see, it actually happened. So everything really starts to accelerate here. First, you have Stuxnet back in 2009. That was the moment everyone realized that a piece of code could actually reach out and cause physical, real-world destruction. A few years later, the Snowden revelations show the world just how enormous the NSA's collection of these secret flaws really was. And then, the unthinkable happens. In 2016, a mysterious group calling themselves the Shadow Brokers leaks the NSA's elite hacking tools. They just put them online for anyone to grab.
With Stuxnet, it was never just about breaking centrifuges. It was psychological warfare. The code was brilliantly designed to make the Iranian scientists think they were going crazy, that they were the ones making mistakes. It was all about creating chaos and paranoia from the inside, all with a weapon nobody could even see. For the NSA, the Shadow Brokers leak was an absolute nightmare, a complete disaster. We're talking about digital weapons they had spent decades and billions of dollars developing, and suddenly, they were just out there, available to any hostile country, any terror group, or honestly, any kid in a basement with a decent internet connection. And the fallout from this leak wasn't a what-if anymore. Nope, it was immediate, it was global, and it was devastating. It unleashed what you can only really call a digital pandemic on the world. So what happened? Well, Russian military hackers took one of those leaked NSA tools and they built a nasty piece of malware called NotPetya. Now, they were aiming it at Ukraine, but they built it to be a worm. And what do worms do? They spread. And boy, did this thing spread. It didn't just hit its target, it went everywhere, uncontrollably.
This thing caused a global economic meltdown, plain and simple. Take Maersk, the biggest shipping company in the world. They moved something like 1/5 of everything. They were paralyzed. And this is where it hits home for you and me. Suddenly, there are delays for everything. Your new phone, critical medical supplies, you name it. Hospitals lost all their patient records and had to turn away ambulances. Factories just went dark. It was chaos. And it was all powered by a weapon that was built and then lost by the US government.
Yeah, this quote from a logistics contractor. It's raw, but it gives you a real sense of the absolute panic on the ground. For days, nobody knew where anything was. You couldn't call anyone, websites were offline. The entire global supply chain just stopped, dead in its tracks.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway? We've walked through how these secret weapons get made, why the government wants to hoard them, and the absolute disaster that happens when, not if, but when they get out.
It really comes down to this. The whole strategy of building up a secret stockpile of cyberweapons, it just completely backfired. All it did in the end was arm our enemies. There's a word for this in the security world, proliferation. And it is the ultimate nightmare scenario. The very weapons you built to protect yourself have escaped, and now they can be pointed right back at you. And that leaves us with a really unsettling question, doesn't it? We went out and built the perfect weapon. But when that weapon is just code, something that can be copied and changed and shared infinitely, who is it really aimed at? In this new arms race, the scary truth is that the fallout from our own weapons might just land right in our own backyard.